Yes! Oh, it is. It is a Thursday episode of Donno Daily here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. It is going to be a super busy show today. We're going to be joined a little bit earlier than usual for his usual Thursday spot. Barry Barger from BetUS.com is going to join us in about 5 minutes to go over Thursday night football tonight between the Cowboys and Saints. And, of course, our Miami Dolphins go for 5 in a row hosting the New York Giants. There are new chaotic updates on the Miami Hurricanes athletic director search. We're going to talk about that in a few minutes, and we're going to talk about another tragic Miami Heat loss. A lot of adversity now facing this Heat team. So, guys, I want to remind you, this and every episode of Donno Daily is proudly served by the Quarterdeck Seafood Bar and Neighborhood Grill. Make the Quarterdeck your spot to watch every game, to watch every UFC pay-per-view fight. I can't think of a better place to watch the NFL games on Sunday or a better place to watch Miami Heat games, Florida Panthers games. They got the flat screen, high-def TVs covering every wall. The food is so good. The seafood is so fresh, and they have 2-for-1 happy hour all day, every day. It is a great place to wet your whistle. So if you want to peep their menu before you go watch Duncan Robinson miss threes at the Quarterdeck. Or if you don't want to watch that, watch everything else at the Quarterdeck. If you want to check out their menu or find the location nearest to you, visit them on the web at quarterdeckrestaurants.com. The Quarterdeck, come for the food, stay for the fun. We'll be talking more about BetUS in a moment, but I want to talk about the Miami Heat first. Guys, title of this episode, and I'm serious about this because I'm close. I am damn close to this point. Is it time to panic about the Miami Heat? Now, I'm never going to go into full panic mode this early, but I'm getting closer and closer. And it's not just the performances, it's also the injuries, it's also the adversity piling up. Now, to be fair, it's the first week of December, okay? And you're only at this moment, for as bad as things might feel, you're now the 5th seed in the East after being the 1 seed not too long ago. You're only 2.5 games behind the Eastern Conference leaders right now. However, I am getting concerned, very concerned, and I might only be a few weeks away from full-on panic at the rate that things are going right now. We got the terrible news yesterday. It actually broke during my show yesterday. I was a little bit optimistic at first, but I have 2 good reasons for being more pessimistic as the hours went on. We got the terrible news yesterday during my show. Bam Adebayo is having surgery on his thumb. Now, according to ESPN, in the original report that came out on Adebayo's surgery, they said he's going to miss 4 to 6 weeks. This morning, I was listening to the newest episode of 5 on the Floor, and we got great insight, and I encourage everyone to listen to this episode. You can also watch it on YouTube. We got great insight on this from Ethan Skolnick of 5 Reasons Sports, who's going to be joining us a little bit later, and also Greg Sylvander, who is an awesome dude and very connected. So the belief within the Miami Heat is far less optimistic than the ESPN timetable. So ESPN predicted for Bam Adebayo 4 to 6 weeks off. The real expectation is roughly double that. So instead of 4 to 6 weeks, it might be 10 to 12 weeks without Bam Adebayo. Not only is Bam missed on the floor because he's one of the best two-way centers in the NBA, Mr. No Ceiling, all that, but him being out for the next 2-3 months completely discombobulates the rotation. Now, we saw Dwayne Dedmon start last night in his place, and he played fine. But, you're down another big, and you're down a very important big, a guy who can take over games late in Bam, and you have a train wreck like KZ Okpala getting minutes when Bam is not there. We also had, now this is the real reason why, in addition to Bam being out, why the Heat suffered a tremendously hard loss to the Cleveland Cavaliers last night. Not only was Bam out, Jimmy Butler was out as well. He missed last night's debacle with a tailbone injury, and it's being reported that he could very well miss the next 2 road games coming up. The Heat are going to have their next 2 on Friday and Saturday, back-to-back games coming up on the road at Indiana and at Milwaukee. Jimmy Butler could very well miss that short road trip. So if you look at these next couple of games coming up, do you feel confident about winning either of those games, especially the one in Milwaukee, if both Jimmy and Bam are out? Bam, we know. Jimmy, most likely. The Heat that are 13-9 right now will likely be 13-11 by late Saturday night. We also, in addition to the Adebayo adversity and the short-term Jimmy adversity, we've got a big-time Duncan Robinson problem, a huge Duncan Robinson problem. Number 55 continues to lay bricks. He seems like a really nice guy, Duncan Robinson. And people are talking about Duncan as if something tragic and terrible has happened to him because, oh, my people are talking trash on Twitter. Oh, I feel so bad for Duncan. Oh, really nice guy. I'm not going to feel too bad for a guy who just signed a $90 million contract while wearing a ski mask this past summer. He's a nice guy, fine, but I can still scrutinize and criticize his play. 0 for 7 from the field last night, 0 for 6 from three-point range last night. Duncan Robinson, in missing 100% of his threes and 100% of his shots yesterday, he has lost 100% of his confidence, and thus he has lost his technique in 20 minutes played, by the way. Thank God they didn't let him play longer than 20 because it would have gotten even worse. He would have been like 0 for 12. He's lost 100% of his confidence, and in losing his confidence, his technique, his rhythm, and his timing are also out the door right now. He is completely in his head right now. He is living rent-free inside of his own head right now. Now, I would suggest starting Max Strus, who is full of confidence right now. I would suggest starting Max Strus over Duncan, making Duncan take a seat or sending him down to the G League, doing something, sending him to a sports psychologist. But unfortunately, replacing Dunk in the starting lineup with Max Strus doesn't really fix anything because you're just making your bench worse while making your starting lineup better. You're creating one hole to plug another. We know how important for Eric Spoelstra, for the Heat, for the entire NBA, it's not just about the starting five. It's also about the bench. It's about the rotations. It's about the depth. And if you were to bench Duncan and start Strus, you're taking away from your bench just to try and make a temporary fix to your starting lineup. So it doesn't really solve anything, man. Duncan Robinson's three-point shooting, it's down 9% from last season. I'm actually surprised it's only down 9% from last year. It's down 13% from 2 years ago. Kyle Lowry, by the way, is not stepping up nearly enough. Last night was Kyle Lowry's opportunity. We needed him badly. So you're telling me on a night when Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo are both out, your $30 million a year former All-Star and NBA champion shoots 2 for 9 and scores 7 points. Kyle Lowry on a night without Jimmy and without Bam only attempting 9 shots. That is very concerning, very problematic. We need this guy to put on a Superman cape and try to take over. It wasn't long ago that the Heat were the top rebounding team in the NBA. Last night they got obliterated on the boards, 46-28. Things are definitely going to get at least a little bit better when Jimmy is back. I know that. The Heat are actually, as odd as this may sound, they're unbeaten in games when Jimmy plays and Bam doesn't. But I do believe Bam Adebayo's absence, which may not be just 4 to 6 weeks like ESPN said, it could be more like 10 to 12 weeks. So that's going to be a huge problem. You know what's not a huge problem? Winning money with a guy who is the anti-mush. I am known in these parts as the mush. I've mushed the Miami Heat. I've left just a trail of destruction in my wake. Barry Barger from BetUS.com. He gets me back on track. Barry, good afternoon. How are you?
I'm okay. I was kind of mushed last week with Miami going against them, and last week, I was like, it was 7 points, I think, and I was on the wrong side. Yeah, that was not good.
Oh, man. We've been there. Barry, we got NFL action tonight. I also want to ask you about the streaking Miami Dolphins on Sunday. But let's start with Thursday Night Football. This is a really good one, Barry Barger. We got the Dallas Cowboys on the road at the New Orleans Saints. Cowboys are 6-point favorites. We got an over-under of 46. I think this could be a pretty saucy matchup tonight. Do you agree with the wise guys that the Cowboys should get it done relatively easily? What are you looking at in this game?
Well, yeah, they're getting some guys back. So, and Amari Cooper could be more of a decoy, but CeeDee Lamb, I'm pretty sure he's going to be playing, right? And so this really looks like a Dallas game to me. It's hard for me to go against them with the Saints having all their issues, they've got injuries. And then, to bring in Taysom Hill, obviously that's iffy. He's been injured, and he's going to be a better option than Trevor Siemian was. But I just don't know how it's going to play out because Dallas they're tough, and they're going to be up for this after last week. So I think Dallas, I just think Dallas is just going to lay it to them. And I hate saying it against Saints because I'm really kind of a fan of their team and the way that they've put together a team. It just hasn't come together this year. And, without the weapons, so Taysom Hill in fantasy he was good when he was in before, but he had weapons. He doesn't have Michael Thomas. I think Kamara's out too. He's just got a limited kind of core to go with in this game. So I just don't think I'm surprised those points aren't higher. Because
Me too.
What are they? 4.5? I mean, it's something really 6, is it now?
Yeah, 6.
Yeah, 6. Okay. Because I thought it would be 7, creeping towards 7.5. So I think there's going to be a lot more money coming in on Dallas too. So I would say to get in there now, and let's see what we got for the total. There's 46. That's something that I would like to bet the over, but I'm stronger on Dallas. Just because I don't know how New Orleans is I don't know how their offense is going to do. Dallas has proved that they've had some pretty good streaks of defense, and I would stay with the side and maybe tease it to the over.
I like it. Barry Barger from BetUS.com is with us. Barry, Miami Dolphins, they've won 4 straight games. The defenses look fantastic, really, for the last month and a half. Tua Tagovailoa is playing really, really well. The Tua stands, we call them, the Tua worshipers have gotten very emboldened by the way he's played, and they're going after all the doubters in the national media, and he really is playing very well. So right. Miami, they're hosting the New York Giants, who are going to have Mike Glennon at quarterback. Mike Glennon, he's basically a poor man's Joe Flacco. Like, he's like a younger, less talented version of Joe Flacco, who the Dolphins beat with the Jets a couple of weeks ago. So the Dolphins are -4 in this game, 4-point favorites at home. The over-under is 40.5. I'm actually, I've actually been doing well recently betting on the Dolphins. I haven't mushed them yet, at least not this month, or this December 2nd. Yeah, I haven't mushed the Dolphins this month yet. So what do you
the month is early. Okay, let's take it easy. Okay.
So what are you thinking here for this one?
Man, the Dolphins, they're looking great. The defense is finally it's come together and it's gotten healthier. So that the defense is tough now. Miami's D is tough. And no, Tua has not been much. Tua's playing good. Gaskin is doing just fine. And what about, come on, Waddle. He's like 5th in the NFL in receiving this year. And that, he kind of goes unnoticed, in all this. And now that the Dolphins are finally winning and they're putting it together, they're surprising a lot of people. But I'm glad they're sticking with Tua. And Tua's been playing pretty good all year. And he's been doing good. I still got confidence in Tua. And I got confidence in the Dolphins. They're looking good. And Tua deserves credit where credit's due there. I really think that they're not going to even have a problem. And the Giants, I think they've won 3 of their last 5. So they've been doing a little better, but come on, Daniel Jones are talking to me. He might be hurt a little bit, like that matters. Saquon Barkley's he's been very inefficient. He's getting the touches, but as a whole, this looks like an easy play, right? I mean, even for non-Dolphin fans and bettors, whatever. I mean, laying that sounds pretty dang easy, a little too easy. Only 4 points right now. Yeah. And 40.5. Oh, man. When they're that low, it's I can't. Maybe the Giants only score 9 points.
Yeah, that could be.
But Miami, they could score 35. I hate to bet an under on something that low. So as far as the total goes, if anything, I would go over there too. But definitely, I like both sides in those two games, Dallas, and I like Miami too. I mean, I like Tua to keep moving forward, and I don't think the Giants have the answers. I don't think it's going to be 4 for 6 for the Giants. I think it's going to be another one for Miami here, and by more than 4. I think this is more than 7. Come on. I mean, really? 4 points?
It's easy. We cover that in our sleep. Yeah.
Who's making these lines?
Hold on. Make sure you don't call that in until after we can get our bets.
I always wait. I always wait at BetUS, all lines table, until I don't know as people get in there. I don't know.
Hey, I know you got to run in a minute, so before I let you run, let people know where they can find your work and what they can find at BetUS.com.
Make sure you check out the locker room. Wealth of information. At BetUS_official is our main Twitter. We've got at BetUSProFB and at BetUS and _NBA. That they're all dedicated Twitter-wise to each sport. But at BetUS_official, the main one that puts out a lot of stuff, promotions, loyalty, information. Information's what you get. It's where the game begins. That's why we say where the game begins. You find all your information and everything there to prepare you for, a real solid and confident bet there. So, and videos, our TV, man, we've got so many shows going on right now. It's crazy. Our NBA, our college football, our pro football. It's insane. So check it out. We've got a lot of media going on there to help you make great decisions for sure.
It really is excellent content. Barry Barger, thank you so much, and have a winning weekend coming up.
You bet. Go Dolphins, man.
Yeah.
Easy.
I love it. I love that, dude. And let me talk to people about BetUS, and then I want to dive headfirst back into some Miami Heat stuff and some Miami Hurricane stuff for a second. My friends, BetUS.com. It is the official sports book of Donno Daily here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. It's the official sports book of the 5 Reasons Sports Network, period. I believe in what they're doing here at BetUS. They are the 3-decade leader. They have been dominating this industry for 27 years, crushing the competition. They are known as America's favorite sports book because they have the best customer service you will ever find. When you sign up at BetUS.com, they treat you like a VIP. You get a customer service rep assigned to your account, and anytime you have a question about anything, if there's something on the site you're not clear about, or if you just want to learn, like what's a parlay, what's a tease, they can help you out there at BetUS.com. And guys, they have the best bonus in the industry. If you sign up today with our code, when you sign up, use our Donno Daily code, which is 5RSN125. When you sign up, they're going to ask you, do you have a promo code when you make your deposit? Yes, you have a promo code. You have our code, 5RSN125. They're going to give you a 125% sign-up bonus. So if you sign up with $100, for example, they'll give you $125 of free play money on top of your deposit. If you sign up with $1,000, they'll give you $1,250 on top of your deposit in free play money. It is the best deal you're going to find in the sports betting industry. And yes, because people have asked me this, the answer is yes, you can use it in Florida. You absolutely can. So sign up today, BetUS.com, and bet on sports, horses, pop culture props, play in their online casino. It's like having Las Vegas in your pocket. You bet, you win, you get paid. BetUS.com. Hey, Manny, if you can pull up the Twitter poll that I put out there, which relates to the title of this episode, then I want to read some of the comments from the people out there. I put this out a few hours before the show. Miami Heat fans, is it time to panic? Is it time to panic now? And, I've got a couple people in the chat that are like, hey, guys, don't sleep on Cleveland. The Cavaliers are actually pretty good. It's not just the loss yesterday. It's how the Heat lost that game, and it's all that the Heat are dealing with right now, adversity-wise, with Bam Adebayo. We talked about it. I think one of our viewers tuned in, a few minutes late, and I mentioned it yesterday when the report came out from ESPN that Bam was having surgery. They put the timetable on their ESPN report saying 4 to 6 week recovery. If you were watching or listening to 5 on the Floor, the episode that Skolnick and company put out within the last 12 hours or so. I was listening to it this morning. They are hearing that the timetable realistically could be about double that. That instead of thinking without Bam for 4 to 6 weeks, we need to prepare ourselves to be without Bam for maybe 10 to 12 weeks. This could be a 3-month type of deal. Could be maybe around the All-Star break or a little bit after that before we see Adebayo again. And that is troubling. Like, that is really, really troubling. And unfortunately, this team is providing us with more questions and answers right now. So I put the poll out there. Miami Heat fans, is it time to panic? And the 3 choices were yes, panic. Second choice was just a little bit. And then the third choice was I am not worried. Like those of you who are saying, hey, they'll figure it out. It's a marathon, not a sprint. 82 games. You're going to go through some rough patches. If you believe they have the depth to get through these issues, the leader in the clubhouse, and this is what I would vote for. I'm not allowed to vote on my own polls, but if I were allowed to vote, this is what I would have voted for. The leader in the clubhouse is just a little bit. That you can be worried. Maybe you can start to kind of put your finger on the panic button. I'm not going to all out panic in the first week of December, but things are getting a little bit worrisome, especially with Bam's injury. So just a little bit is the leader in the clubhouse at 47%. The second highest vote getter is actually I'm not worried at 32%. I wish I possessed the optimism that the people voting for that have. And then the worst choice, at least by votes, is yes, panic. That is only receiving 21% of the vote so far. So the leader in the clubhouse, and I agree with this, is panic just a little bit. It's not full-on panic. It's not DEFCON 1. It's like DEFCON 3, maybe DEFCON 2 right now. I have not reached full-on panic mode just yet. And like Big Dan 305 writes in, looking a little shaky right now. And I do like this from Israel Price. Maybe this is showing the value of what a healthy Oladipo could bring. And, Oladipo, maybe a little bit before, but the timelines kind of sound like we could be seeing the Victor Oladipo debut pretty close to the time when Bam is ready to make his return. So I think the obstacle will be don't fuck it up too much before then. Because at some point, January, February, you're going to be getting Oladipo. They're going to thaw him out from his cryo freeze. At some point, February, March, you're going to get Adebayo back. And then, God willing, the Miami Heat will be at full strength. And then at that point, you will see the full potential of this Miami Heat team. Mr. Price also writes, Miami needs a 25-point per game type of guy. This score by committee stuff. I love Jimmy and Bam, but they're not the guys to carry scoring loads. Well, and especially in games where these guys aren't playing, I strongly believe because, Tyler Hero is your highest scorer on most nights, even with everybody healthy. How about the guy who's won an NBA championship and has been an all-star, who you're paying $30 million a season for? How about Kyle Lowry steps up and takes more than 9 shots? How about that one? Kyle Lowry was needed. Like, he needed to take over that game. This guy's about a career 20-point-per-game scorer. I know he prefers to facilitate. I know he prefers to be the engine. He prefers to be the one that gets everybody else involved. But when you're not playing with the full complements of your other playmakers and scorers, you need the guy who is capable of doing it and has been a huge piece in a championship-winning team just a couple of years ago. He needs to take over. He needs to be more assertive. Only 9 shots last night from Lowry. That, to me, is inexcusable. And I know he wasn't shooting well. He hit 2 of his 9 shots, scored 7 points in the game. He needed to be more aggressive and more assertive. EST92 floor FTL writes in, Cleveland is actually good. Y'all don't know what you're talking about. Well, listen, when I was opening the show and venting a little bit, I wasn't really talking about the opponent and the Heat. The Heat basically got killed by the Minnesota Timberwolves alumni, right? I mean, Kevin Love and even Ricky Rubio was putting up numbers. Like, I'm not taking anything away from the Cavs, but like, even if the Cleveland Cavaliers were the best team in the Eastern Conference, getting demolished at home and getting out-rebounded, out-muscled the way that the Heat did, 46-28, the rebounding totals. I'm old enough to remember like a few weeks ago when the Heat were the number 1 rebounding team in the NBA. Even if the Cavaliers were really good, that performance and that result are inexcusable. Holland Mariah Grossman writes in, no leader on the floor. Jimmy needs to get his shit together. Obviously it's like, when Jimmy misses games for injury, and it happens every now and again, it's usually not big things, it's usually little things. Um, I'm sure that when he misses games, it's legit. But it is a little bit frustrating when he misses a lot of games throughout a season. I know he's in his 30s, and I know he plays a lot of minutes when he's available. He used to play for Tom Thibodeau, who runs people into the ground. That may have put some extra unneeded mileage on his odometer. And the most important thing is, March, April, when you start peaking, hopefully come playoff time, for Jimmy to be at his physical best. I get it. But it does get a little bit frustrating when Jimmy has to miss various games for nagging injuries. It does get a little bit frustrating. Obviously, the thing we can be thankful for is what Jimmy is dealing with the tailbone. Nowhere near as serious as what Adebayo is dealing with, because Jimmy might miss the next 2 games. You got a quick 2-gamer on the road, back-to-back nights, Friday in Indiana. I hate the Pacers. I want to beat those losers so bad. Saturday in Milwaukee, back-to-back nights. He might miss both of those games. Those are going to be really tough. Jimmy's going to be back sooner than later. And man, I might be guilty of this. David writes in, Jimmy has been mushed. I think Bam is the one who's really been mushed. And people accuse me of mushing Duncan Robinson. I don't know if that's how mushing works, folks, because usually when I mush somebody, it's when I say really nice things about them and it makes them play like crap. You can count on one hand the times this year I've said nice things about Duncan Robinson. If anything, I've talked so poorly about number 55, there should be a reverse mush factor, right? Because I've talked enough crap about this guy. It should have elevated his play. I did that to Tua Tagovailoa this year. Oh my God, did I discredit and discount Tua throughout the early parts of the season? And these last few weeks, he's looked fantastic. And the efficiency with Tua is unparalleled right now in the National Football League. He's been looking so good. Kyle plus Duncan for Kyrie. Well, we don't have the we don't have the strict vaccination mandates down here that he has up there in Brooklyn. I don't want to make that deal. I'll just put it. I was going to come up with a joke there, but there is no joke. Kyrie Irving, even for me, is a little bit too toxic. I tend to like the weirdos, but Kyrie is a little bit too toxic, man. Oh my God. Poetic lifestyle. I don't know why I had such a difficult time reading that. I think I need like thicker contact lenses or something. You start to get old, the vision just goes, everything. Just back to the lab if we're contending for a championship. Will they do something before the trade deadline? Maybe. I know everybody wants to trade Duncan Robinson, but if you were to trade Duncan Robinson right now with the way he's playing, what do you get back? You get baked lays. You get a case of baked lays, maybe one bag of baked lays, which I think taste awful, the baked ones. You're going to get that maybe in return for the guy. Trade Lowry and Duncan and KZ for Dame. Whatever team you call with that deal probably says, just take KZ and Duncan out of it, and maybe we'll consider making that deal, because Duncan and KZ are so worthless. But yeah, I mean, listen, I'd love to have Dame here, no question. Holland Grossman writes in, the Heat are a mess, a disappointment, amazing start, and it's crash and burned. Jimmy Butler seems disinterested. I don't know about that one. I don't think Jimmy is disinterested. I cannot co-sign on that. We just need him back on the floor. We need him back on the floor. Miami is going to have to make a trade soon. Let's see. David writes in, we might got to trade Donno. Do you think any other market wants me? Is the thing. Like, if I were to start covering Milwaukee, first of all, I'd have to live in Milwaukee. I'm not built for cold weather. I mean, I think I am like physically built for it, but I'm not prepared for it. I've never lived in cold weather in my entire life. I don't know what to do about your tires. I don't know how to scrape the ice off the windshield. I don't know how to shovel snow. Like I've seen snow maybe 5-6 times in my entire life on various vacations throughout my 37 years on this planet. I don't know, I pretty much, I can only live in Florida, Southern California, maybe southern parts of like Texas, wherever it doesn't snow. Those are the only places I can live, because there's no way at 37 you can't teach an old dog new tricks. I don't know how to do winter. It's foreign to me. Part of me still thinks Lowry and Butler are cruising until the playoffs. I just hope they get there. Is the thing. Because if you keep cruising like this, you might find yourselves in the play-in. You might find yourselves in one of those dreaded play-in seeds, and nobody wants that, man. Nobody wants that. All right, so those are some of the good comments we got on the Miami Heat. Maybe I'll circle back to those in a little bit. Now, we are going to be talking in about 20 minutes with the boss man himself. Ethan J. Skolnick is going to join us to talk a little Miami Heat basketball. Manny, if you're there, can you pull up that Miami Hurricanes related tweet from Brett McMurphy? So again, these last couple of weeks, no matter who you blame for it, okay, whether you blame the administration, whether you blame Manny Diaz, whether you blame the media, the reporting on the Miami Hurricanes athletic director vacancy and the potential head coaching vacancy, it's appeared like a circus. It has appeared in the media like a circus. So Brett McMurphy tweeted this out shortly before we went on the air today. Multiple Miami AD candidates told Action Network HQ that UM's search is a quote-unquote mess, with more than 50 board of trustees and several donors involved. Quote, everyone is in charge. No one is in charge, he says. They don't know what they want to do with Manny Diaz. Half want him gone, half want him to stay. Now, when that tweet came out, immediately I got a text from our Gator buddy, the Gator trader, because he used to be a Hurricanes fan. He's a Benedict Arnold. Manny Chang, our Gator buddy, tweets me, or sorry, he texted me. WTF are you guys doing? He said, talking about like, what are you doing? So again, this McMurphy tweet, search is a mess, they are told, with more than 50 board of trustees. I think there's about 66 board of trustees is what I was told this week. Everyone is in charge, he says. No one is in charge. They don't know what they want to do with Manny Diaz. Half want him gone, half want him to stay. And you see the tweet right there from Brett McMurphy. Now, here, I strongly believe that there could be a simple, nefarious explanation for what Brett McMurphy has tweeted out, okay? I think we can all agree, people who have followed this process, we can all agree, the University of Miami's Board of Trustees, I'm not speaking for all of them, or I'm not speaking for each of them individually. I'm talking about the collective. The University of Miami Board of Trustees, they've become really problematic for this process because they seem to be the ones that are leaking selective, biased pieces of information to various reporters and various fans, because a lot of fans are friends with trustees, members, or have a line of communication to them. And I believe that the Board of Trustees, not all of them or not each of them, but for the most part, I believe they are the reason why this process appears to be such a shit show, because they're telling 100 different people, reporters, fans, bloggers, YouTubers, they're telling 100 different people 100 different things, because they all have their own opinions, they all have their own agendas, they all have their own, stories that they want broken, and it's made it look like the University of Miami athletic director search and potential head coaching search is being pulled in 100 different directions. But here is one piece of logical hope that I'm holding out on here, because this is consistent with something we've been saying here, and people like our friend Gary Furman and others within the 5 Reasons sports community have been saying all throughout this process, is the ones who have the most power here, like the ones who at the end of the day have the most influence and the most ability to make a decision on who's the next AD and then on what's done about the next head coach, the people who have the most power and influence on that are not the Board of Trustees, but the advisors to President Julio Frank, that they are the ones who have the most power and influence over the president on this process. So where does that leave the Board of Trustees? Leaves them a bit castrated. It leaves them a bit uneasy, a bit unhappy, because they're used to, they're accustomed to pulling all the strings and wielding all the power. So they're getting a little bit upset, and they want their agendas to be out there to try and pull influence. Like, this is something we talked about yesterday, and I'll bring it up again. I firmly believe that the members of the BOT who are Manny Diaz fans, they like Manny. They think Manny deserves more time. They don't want to see him fired. There are important members of the BOT who feel that way and that are trying to save Manny Diaz's job. They have an agenda to make this search look like a complete circus to try and scare Mario Cristobal away, or anybody else who would want this job. Mario, Lane, you take your pick. They are trying to make this situation look so chaotic that they don't want anyone to want this job. And I think the same thing is going for athletic directors as well, because our guy Vish brought up a good point in the 5 Reasons little group chat that we have, is that, so according to Brett McMurphy, multiple Miami AD candidates have told Action Network that the search is a mess. Now, it's certainly not coming from the search committee, because search committees don't leak stuff. Otherwise, you'd never go to a search committee again. I think that these leaks are coming primarily from the Board of Trustees, and it's a really bad look. It's a really bad look. David writes, let the AD decide Manny. Well, that's what we've been and I think the university president wants it that way. I think that's what they want to do. They want to hire the AD and let the AD decide yay or nay on Diaz. I think certain members of the Board of Trustees would rather decide the coach first before they even have an AD. Let me read you some of this.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Manny.
So the report yesterday by Manny Navarro saying that the AD from New Mexico pulling out, do you think that has a ripple effect to what we're hearing today with Brett's tweet?
It could be. Well, and here's another thing.
Basically, is everyone just trying to see if the guy's going to be Mario or not? Because obviously we know that Oregon's not pushing for that contract extension. They're trying to give him more money, but then you see that hasn't occurred, and yet the Miami News is saying, well, they had an AD in place, but then he said no, and then now everybody's saying this tweet of Brett that there's too many cooks in the whole kitchen sink. But still, it doesn't feel like, even if they have somebody ready, I'm pretty sure they're going to wait to see if they have Mario on the way. That's my opinion.
That could be. I mean, the guy that you mentioned from New Mexico is Eddie Nunez. New Mexico AD was believed to be a strong candidate for the athletic director job or some role with Miami. I had heard that even if Nunez hadn't gotten the job straight up, he might be part of a tandem with somebody else. Like maybe they would have tried to pair him with Alonzo Highsmith or Gino Torretta to be sort of the administrator type of guy. Okay, here's a tweet from George Sedano. Brett is an incredible reporter. In no way am I questioning his reporting. That's usually something you'd say right when you're about to question someone's reporting. Sedano continues, and I love Sedano. He says, I'd add, bingo. Sedano is my spirit animal. I'd add Rogue BOT are muddying this up because it behooves them too. Kane's approach to AD role may be unconventional. Is that messy? Perhaps to some. In my opinion, when this is over, Miami needs to clean house. And I would agree. Without even seeing Sedano's tweet, I had the same thought about the Board of Trustees, that the BOT are the ones muddying the waters and making this look even more chaotic than it actually is. Now, in the case of Eddie Nunez, who, he made an announcement yesterday with New Mexico that he wasn't going anywhere, that he was committed to New Mexico. Good luck with that, bro. Now, and then it was reported, I think by Manny Navarro, like Manny Chang just said, Manny to Manny connection, that he had Nunez had pulled his name out of the athletic director search at Miami, that he was no longer interested. Now, you have to wonder something here. Okay, did he really decide to stay at prestigious New Mexico because he thought Miami's search firm process was a mess? Or is it also possible, if not likely, that Eddie Nunez pulled his name out of the race because he knew he wasn't getting it? Like, isn't that usually why you would pull your name publicly out of the running for something if you know you're not going to win? So maybe he had an idea. He might have gotten tipped off that they're going with somebody else, that they've made their pick, they've made their choice. It's not been announced yet, but they've made their choice, and it's not you. So we're going to tip you off to that so that you can look good with the New Mexico board by saying, I don't want to go to Miami. I'd rather stay. I'd rather stay here in the land of Walter White and Jesse Pinkman and coyotes and werewolves and everything they have out there in New Mexico. So I think that could very well be.
Also, Alex,
what's going on
remember, man, the first recruiting signing stage is about to come up, right? And yet you still don't have no athletic director named, and you still don't have a head coach. So you probably want to, and overall, you want to think about this a little bit and realize the closer that date is approaching, that has to affect recruitment.
Yeah.
Because if you were recruited by Manny Diaz, you're now sitting there saying, well, listen, if you wanted to be a King since birth, you're going to come regardless. What about those other guys? Are they going to feel the same? This is when now it's becoming tricky because we're not talking about NFL. We're talking about college.
Yeah.
Recruiting is one of the major keys, which I think that a lot of people lose their jobs over because they think it's all about wins and losses. No, it's about you being able to out-recruit your opponents and out-recruit your rivals. What happens? I mean, we are now on December 2nd. I believe the first recruiting signing day is less than 2 weeks away.
Yeah, 13 days away.
13 days away. They have to get this fixed now.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Like, there's no other ways to, go out and about. It's like tomorrow there shouldn't be a tweet. Okay, well, new update this. I understand they want that to happen, but the recruitment date is not going to be paused just because Miami doesn't have an AD or hasn't even figured out if Manny Diaz is going to stay or not.
They seem to be undecided as to whether or not it's really that important to get this done on December 15th or by December 15th. I think it is. I think for all the reasons that Manny Chang stated. Now, you don't have much of a recruiting class to begin with. You got 8 guys committed for the class of 2022. 8 guys committed. None of them are from Miami, Fort Lauderdale. None of them are South Floridians. And I think out of those 8 guys, you do have some concerns that 1 or 2 or 3 of them could flip between now and signing day. I have read some things about there being some concern about Ja'Curry Brown, the quarterback, maybe taking visits somewhere else. And you have to wonder kind of how solid his commit is right now amidst all this chaos. So I strongly believe that you want to have somebody in place, whether it's Manny or somebody else. You know me, I'd prefer somebody else, right? But I think the worst possible thing would be to get to December 15th and none of us have a definitive idea who's coaching this team, right? Because I know it's been rumored and it's been reported that Manny Diaz could actually very likely keep his job, but it's not been confirmed. Because if anybody knew that 100% for fact that Manny Diaz is not going anywhere, the university would announce it. Like the university would give a vote of confidence in Manny Diaz if they truly believed he's not going to get fired. They would give the vote of confidence because that takes away the uncertainty. So the fact that they have not given him any sort of a public endorsement to this point tells me there's still a chance that he will not be the head coach of this team within the next 2 weeks. But the indecision is going to hurt. Let me read you some excerpts here from a Miami Herald report. I think this was written in conjunction, a co-authored piece from Michelle Kaufman and Barry Jackson, who are both awesome. Let me read you a couple of highlights from this, where they talk about the athletic director search being complicated. They say very complicated. Quote, there are some on the board of trustees who feel the more pressing concern is not replacing Diaz with a bigger money coach, but rather hiring a business-savvy athletic director and allocating more resources to upgrading and modernizing the athletic department in the age of name, image, and likeness and the exploding transfer portal. The new NIL rules allow collegiate athletes to make money and secure sponsors. The ever-relaxing transfer rules give athletes the freedom and mobility to leave for other schools. This past spring, more than 1,700 basketball players transferred. That's wild. That's a lot of basketball players when you're talking about 12-person or so rosters. That's a lot of basketball players. Both of those trends in college athletics are paramount in the recruiting wars, as elite programs show up at recruiting visits with slick marketing plans tailor-made for each prospect. It is also imperative for athletic departments to retain the athletes they get. And these days, that requires more than just sunshine, tradition, and small class size, which have been UM selling points for decades. There are others in the inner circle who feel the UM football program has been mired in mediocrity, especially 3 coaching changes in the past 10 years. And with football as the biggest moneymaker, the solution is to invest in a high-profile coach, a proven winner such as Oregon's Mario Cristobal or Lane Kiffin of Ole Miss. If UM football gets back into the national conversation, those board members say boosters and fans will return, and the university and athletic department will reap the financial reward, which will lead to the upgrades necessary. So just the fact that there are clashing philosophies like this, it's a little bit worrisome to me. So you're telling me that they're having meetings and discussions where they are debating whether it's more important to invest in facilities or if it's more important to invest in a coach to make your football team better. Honestly, the answer is yes. Because here's the thing. It's like asking me, Donno, which of your lungs do you want to keep? Well, I'm pretty sure I need both of them. I'm pretty sure you need to invest in both of those things. Yeah, in the age of transfer portal, no penalty for transferring once. You can play immediately. You don't have to sit out. Does that lead to a ton of turnover? Yes. Okay. Do you need to have up to par facilities for name, image, and likeness reasons? Of course. Facilities, it's not like just yesterday facilities became important. It's not like that's a new thing based on name, image, and likeness. I mean, facilities have been emphasized for the better part of the last 20 years. There have been facility wars going on. So if you're telling me you're trying to choose between, do we spend money on these facilities and keep Manny Diaz, or do we spend money on a coach and not spend on facilities? Right there, that's being stuck between a rock and a hard place, because you truly need to be up to par in both of those things. Okay, like if I had to choose one way or the other, I think I'd probably be on the side of those who say investing in the coach. You need to be investing in both, because okay, the deal is here. If you were to make your facilities state of the art, right, try to be competitive with places like Alabama, Clemson, Florida State, Oregon, you want to make not to say you'll ever compete directly with those facilities, but if you want to make your facilities somewhat comparable to those, and then at the end of the day, your head coach is still a guy who's a defensive minded guy and his team can't tackle, and he's trying to sell this past season as a successful one when you went 7-5 and lost to the worst Florida State team since the 1960s. Honestly, if you invest in the facilities and not in the coach, it's like giving your 6-year-old the keys to your Ferrari. This is not the guy we need driving this program. If everything else is up to par, you need the head coach to be up to par as well. And yeah, you can say the same thing on the flip side. If you get yourself an amazing coach like Lane Kiffin, or an amazing coach like Mario Cristobal, who's winning at a place where the facilities are awesome, if you bring him here and your facilities are shit, then yeah, maybe you can't expect him to have the type of success he would have at some other places that he's having at Miami. So if that debate is really happening, oh, well, do we spend money on the coach or on the facilities and on our technology? If you're choosing between one of those two things, you've already lost. There needs to be investment made in both of those things. So, okay, maybe that means you don't, give $100 million contract to your coach, or that you don't have to have facilities that are better than the ones that Phil Knight, has in Oregon. You have to invest, I think, equally on those two parts. I think that's the only way you get yourself out of this, because I think there's no right answer. If you're choosing between those two things and it's got to be one or the other, I don't think you're going to get this problem solved either way. I don't know if this is the answer, David. Let a dog coach the Canes. Why not? What kind of an offense does he run? Does he run a spread? Does he run a pro style? I don't know if that's a good idea. All right, we're going to bring in now our next guest. I'll let him say his piece on this mess, and then we'll get into Heat basketball, because I know that's certainly what people want to talk about right now. Ethan Skolnick of the 5 Reasons Sports Network joined. Duncan Robinson, he's an interdimensional global elite planning to destroy our seas. Great comment from Alfredo. Ethan, before let's I'll let you say your piece on what I was just talking about with the University of Miami. It's like the more reports that come out, the worse all of this sounds. I really believe it's the board of trustees that are creating most of these problems by leaking their agendas. But what's your take from the outside looking in on all of this?
Well, it's really hard to say, to be honest, because it does seem like there's a lot of cooks in the kitchen here, and some of them are not even authorized to be in there. So I mean, what leaks out of the kitchen is hard to say. I mean, it seems to me like there are 2 people who would be eminently qualified for this job, at least the coaching side, who at least both want to be here. One of them might have a few more stipulations than the other one has. But, I just think that generally right now they're going through a process that looks clunky. A lot of these processes do look clunky, though. It's kind of as the sausage is made, right? Like that's sort of how this works. And sometimes it works out better at the end. I think the problem is that there's not a lot of faith in the UM higher ups to make the right decisions. And so as a result of that, what may actually be due diligence is coming across as incompetence. And it may be incompetence. It might very well be. We just don't know until they actually settle on, what direction that they want to go. So, I mean, I'll just say this: you can't bring Manny back. I mean, that to me is foremost. And you also have to allow the athletic director to have a direct say in the head coach, because football is what drives things there. I mean, the basketball program and the baseball program, as Vishnu's talked about, are kind of in shambles right now. But nobody really cares. I mean, this, right? I mean,
yeah, no, you're right.
I mean, this market out of 50 markets in the country is 49th in TV ratings for college basketball. And nobody's paying attention. And the baseball, I mean, again, the baseball had a great run for a very long time, and that 6 people paid attention. And so I just feel like it's all about football. You have to get the right hire here. But the process needs to be correct. I mean, the AD has to be in lockstep with whoever the new head coach is going to be, so that you can't be blaming each other like 6 months into it. And that's basically, where it's at. So I'm going to wait until the dust settles on this. I don't think that they're going to lose out on one of these 2 guys, in particular, Cristobal or Kiffin, while this is going on necessarily. I mean, Kiffin obviously has other things to attend to right now, as does Mario. And so I think we let it play out. You give them the benefit of the doubt until they don't deserve it anymore. And I think that's where I'm at with it.
Ethan J. Skolnick is with us here. Let's talk some Miami Heat. Disheartening loss yesterday. And, I titled this episode, "Is it time to panic about the Miami Heat?" And I don't want people to think that I'm strictly reacting to one game. I'm reacting to a big picture here where Bam Adebayo is going to miss significant time here. And Ethan, I was listening to the latest episode of 5 on the Floor, and make sure I'm getting this right, because I know that when ESPN put out their first report yesterday on Bam, they cited a timetable for his thumb surgery of about 4 to 6 weeks. I heard you say this morning that that it's believed the timetable could be significantly longer than that.
Yeah, I mean, the average timetable for this injury comes in at around 7 to 8 weeks, actually. But it's not just that. We had got this reporting before all of that. 3 of us at the network from different sources heard that the Heat's bracing for longer than that. That it could be in the 8 to 12 week range, more so than the 4 to 6 week range. Now, he's a quick healer, so I do offer that disclaimer. He hasn't missed a whole lot of time. He has played through injuries in the past. It's not the kind of injury that's like you would think would be debilitating for his future. So I do think, once the pain situation is kind of taken care of, he'll be fine. But I think that we have to brace for the fact that you're probably looking at after the All-Star break, and that is, certainly, a lot of things that we had, looked at for Bam this year kind of off the table, whether it's Defensive Player of the Year and also an All-Star appearance, and whether he was going to make the All-Star team was somewhat dependent on the Heat's record. I feel like this actually gives Tyler Hero a better chance to make the team, but not if the Heat don't have a good enough record, right? Then it's just going to be Jimmy, provided he ever gets back on the court. So I just think when you look at Bam's situation, it's not good. I mean, it's not as bad as situations that the organization's dealt with before, whether it was Zoe, missing, entire seasons or almost entire seasons because of a kidney condition that you didn't know if he was going to live, or really the same with Chris Bosh, missing a couple of seasons and obviously his career shutting down. So we have to put it into some perspective. This organization has gotten through this kind of stuff before, but they're not really prepared for a Bam injury or absence. And especially so when they've got dead roster spots and when they've got Markieff Morris, who is not back, at this point. So
he's faking. He's of course faking that injury, like the Jokic bros would claim. He's really selling it.
Well, Jokic told me to go play in Serbia when I asked him the question about playing in front of the Miami fans. That. So I'm not a favorite on the Jokic brother list. But yeah, I would just say that. Obviously there's tremendous adjustments that they're going to need to make, and they're going to have to reinvent the way that they play. They didn't have time to do that before yesterday, and it's hard to do it without Jimmy, without Morris. You hope when you get more of these bodies back, particularly your best player, that there are other adjustments that you can make. But that's basically, that's basically where it's at. I mean, I feel like, they are going to have to kind of tread water. Stay over 500 somehow during this period of time. I don't think some of the ambitions of being top 3 in the East are realistic. I think at this point now it's stay out of the play-in and try to get all your guys back, and maybe you get Oladipo back also, and you put yourself in a position where seeding doesn't matter as much. And look, this team got to the finals as a 5 seed. It can be done. It's just, and the East, as competitive as the East has been this year, no one's running away with the East. So I feel like Atlanta has gotten it together a little bit. Milwaukee has gotten healthier, although they lost Brook Lopez now for an extended period of time. That's a critical loss for their defense and their rebounding and just generally the way that they play. So, it's going to be rough. There's no question. What we saw last night was ugly. And then obviously they're starting backcourt. And we need to stop this where we're just talking about one of the two of them. Kyle Lowry can't be 2 of 9.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, right.
And
Ethan, the bigger problem there. Yeah, the bigger problem there with Kyle wasn't even the 2, but the 9. Because without Jimmy and Bam, how is he only taking 9 shots?
Well, I know it feels like he just shoots when he's absolutely forced to. And the thing about that is this: his 3-point percentage is really tanked, and he's not getting to the rim consistently. His percentages at the rim are pretty good, but he's not getting there. So I don't know if this is fit or this is age. And I do think that it has to be somewhat concerning when you're talking about the first year of a 3-year deal for a guy that's his age. He's not getting by anybody consistently. Still looks okay on the defensive end. And look, there's a lot of things I like. I like his ability to kind of, set the tempo on the offense and all that. But yeah, there are times he's on the floor with like 3 two-way guys. And a struggling, maybe it's a struggling Robinson or Dwayne Dedman, who they got off the couch last year. You're the guy who's been an all-star. You're the guy who's been a champion. You're the future Hall of Famer. Take over, or at least try to. So I understand the Duncan dialogue. I said today, Tua Tagovailoa has fewer incomplete passes in the last 2 games than Duncan Robinson has missed threes in the last 2 games. Okay, that tells you everything you need to know. So I'm not letting Duncan off the hook. This is a historic case of the yips, Alex. But it's not just him. Okay, it's not just him. There are others that have to be better.
Well, and on Duncan, because I do harp on Duncan a little bit. I'm kind of a hater, but I think he's earning it with the way he's playing this year. Because a lot of people will say, "Oh, it's like a simple solution." You bench Duncan, you start Strus, who's been looking really good. But the thing is, this is more than about a starting lineup. Because if you were to make that move, you're creating one hole to plug another. Because then you're screwing over the bench. Right? Because if you take Strus out of the starting lineup, and who's to guarantee if Max Strus is getting starters minutes, who's to guarantee he has the same sort of spark and ability that he has coming off the bench? So what would you do here with Duncan? Do you just continue to let him start and try to play out of it, or do you make a move?
Well, it's challenging right now, right? Because it was already challenging because you're taking Tyler off a bench. If you're going to plug Tyler in the starting lineup, who's creating in the second unit? Gabe, Caleb? I love their energy, but you're not really trusting them to do it. I mean, honestly, if I was to make a change, it wouldn't be with Tyler, it would be with Max. And it's not as much about Max as it is at least allowing Tyler to run the entire second unit. But I will say this, I'm getting closer to coming around on this because without Bam, there's just fewer places they can go offensively. They don't have the dribble handoff stuff as much. They have one fewer ball handler in the starting lineup. And so, again, unless Lowry's going to start to take over, then your best bet may, and I was not in favor of this for a bunch of reasons. One, I have a bet for 6th man of the year at BetUS, but also I'm using the code 5, of course, not the other code. But it's also that I just feel like Tyler is perfect for the role that they have him in this year. So I didn't want them to have to move him. But if they get off to terrible, terrible starts because they don't have Bam, and then again they're not going to have they don't get production from Robinson and Tucker. They're not counting on to score. You're talking about 3 guys in your starting lineup. You're not getting anything from. I mean, like other than what Dedmon does in his limited capacity. And what Tucker does in his limited capacity. And so then maybe it's like, okay, you have no choice. Like, you have to start Tyler. I just wonder for Duncan, like, if you put him on the bench, is that going to make things better or worse for him? Like, does it clear his head, take some pressure off? Or is it like it's being blamed on me and it gets worse? I mean, with the yips, you just never know.
The Heat have a quick road swing coming up, back-to-back nights. They'll be at Indiana on Friday, at Milwaukee on Saturday. Do you think Jimmy is going to miss that trip?
Yes, I do. Well, Ira reported it first, but that's the word that's come out that he's not going to make the trip. And, again, prepare for this to get ugly. Like, I mean, they're 13-9. 13-11 is on the horizon.
Yeah.
They were getting into this sort of easier stretch. I think we got to recalibrate expectations now. You've lost a core guy. Like, this is one of your 2 most important players. He's out, okay, for an extended period of time. Eric Spoelstra, Pat Riley have made adjustments before. I mentioned Zoe. They plugged Bruce Bowen into the starting lineup. That team won 50 games before they lost in the first round. They lost Bosch. They moved, Spoelstra moved Luol Deng to 4. They signed Joe Johnson. They actually played better than they did with Bosch in the lineup in 2015-16. So they've made adjustments before, and it has worked out really, really well. All right. But, at the same time, this is harder because they don't have all their roster spots active. Okay. Yeah. I mean, they basically got a non-playable KZ Okpala, Haslam, who they don't want to play very much. Yurtsevin, who he doesn't trust to play at this point. Yeah. 1 dead roster spot because they don't want to pay the tax. And Oladipo, who's waiting to come back. And now you have Bam. I mean, it's almost half your roster is either unplayable, injured, rehabbing, or literally a luxury tax casualty. Like, there's nothing there. I mean, if they weren't getting what they're getting out of Caleb Martin right now on a 2-way, and they're going to have to convert that contract here during the season, which they're going to do, but they just don't have other places they can go. That 2000-2001 team, they had Bruce Bowen, waiting, and Dan Marley still on that team. They could plug those guys in and play a different way. They moved Brian Grant to the 5. They played Mason at the 4. They still had Hardaway and Eddie Jones. They had enough there to kind of make things work. The 15-16 team, Luol Deng was kind of a 4 in the modern game anyway. So moving him from the 3 to the 4 kind of unlocked what they did. And then Joe Johnson was sitting out there as a buyout guy. They're not going to go get a buyout guy until they can get under the tax. And so they just don't have a lot, unless all of a sudden Okpala and Yurtsevin, some of these guys are going to really emerge, and I don't see it. They're existing guys like Jimmy can't miss more time. Kyle can't be unaggressive. And Tyler obviously I think has done everything that you want him to do. So there's no complaints there. And Duncan's going to need to make some damn shots. I mean, this idea of benching Duncan, like they don't have enough bodies to bench Duncan.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Trading Duncan. Who's trading for a guy who's shooting 21% from 3
You get a bag of baked Lays in return for him.
Right. So, I mean, they have to find a way to make this work. I believe in Eric Spoelstra to adjust, but that's fine. And I understand that what they're saying, that Lowry's a 17-8 guy. I get that, okay? But at least get the 17. I mean, at least make an effort to get the 17. Like, what happened last night, Duncan, at this point, until he clears his head, is a lost cause. Kyle Lowry, More, please. I mean, it's $30 million. We're talking about Duncan at 15 this year. Kyle's making twice. He's got to be better. It's got to be better.
I agree with everything. Ethan Skolnick does an awesome job, of course, whether it's the starting 9, 5 on the floor, making various appearances on just about every show on this network. And he is the network. Ethan, thank you so much, man. Have a wonderful weekend coming up.
You too, my friend.
I love it. Awesome. And disregard that code of his. We all know that the real code is 5RSN125 at betus.com. So yeah, and I also want to remind you guys that the newest partner of ours here on Donno Daily is BlockFi. Whether you're new to the crypto space or you're a veteran, you want to take advantage of these great offers from BlockFi. Maybe you've been looking to get started. BlockFi can set you up with ease. You can open an interest account with your crypto and earn, it's actually now up to 9% APY with your crypto. That is called passive income, my friends. And apply for the BlockFi Rewards Visa Signature Credit Card to earn unlimited 1.5% back in Bitcoin. So let's stack that Bitcoin, my friends. You can sign up. We actually have our referral link. It's posted in the description of the show. If you scroll down, you will see our referral link. Click it so we get credit for it. We hook you up with a nice deal if you sign up at BlockFi.com. Let's make that passive income together, my friends. And yeah, make sure you are supporting some of the other main sponsors here on the show and on this channel, like the Quarterdeck Seafood Bar and Neighborhood Grill. Make this your spot to watch every Heat game, every Panthers game, every NFL Sunday, the delicious seafood like the oysters and Maine lobster and the fresh sushi. The sandwiches and burgers are so good. The baby back ribs, meat falls off the bone. They are so awesome. Wash it all down with 2-for-1 happy hour all day, every day. The Quarterdeck, come for the food, stay for the fun. And yes, sign up at America's favorite sports book with our code 5RSN125, and they're going to give you a 125% sign-up bonus. That is the best bonus in the industry. BetUS has been around for 3 decades. They're the 3-decade leader. They are America's favorite sports book. They will hook you up. And yes, you can use BetUS in Florida. People ask me that all the time. I want to make that abundantly clear. You can use it in Florida. I'm in Florida. I'm on betus.com every single day, my friends. 5RSN125. Use our code for a 125% sign-up bonus. I want to read some shout-outs here to those folks who have been good enough to comment with us here in the chat. I didn't, something I didn't even get into today. I want to get into it tomorrow. Brandon Marshall and Phil Simms talking about Tua Tagovailoa. Brandon Marshall asking, what's his superpower? He doesn't have a superpower. His accuracy is pretty damn good. You're not going to consider. So Brandon Marshall basically saying Tua cannot be a great quarterback in this league because he doesn't do anything exceptionally well. He talked about people like Tom Brady and Drew Brees having their high IQs as a superpower. He did say that Tua is smart, but he doesn't think he has the intelligence of some of these other great quarterbacks. Listen, I have every reason to believe Tua is smart, and he also does have insanely accuracy. Didn't word that too well, did I? His accuracy is accurate. So yeah, I would count that as a superpower. We'll talk a little bit more about that tomorrow because we're going to have a couple of different Miami Dolphins related guests on the show tomorrow. So that's going to be good. Huge shout out to Dashust. Thank you so much for watching. David, I appreciate it, sir. I hope I didn't mush anybody too hard today. I don't know if Christopher just wanted to send us a blank note or if he meant to type something, but Christopher, thank you so much for tuning in. Whether your message contains great things or nothing at all, I will still shout you out. HM, thank you. He's talking about Jimmy, I believe, here. He's on pace to miss a career number of games if he misses the next 2. Oof, I don't like that. Deion Waiters out there. As long as those gummy bears are around, Deion Waiters will not be far behind. Jay Smith, thank you so much for watching. And you know what? I don't know if Ethan saw this one when he was on, but I would tend to agree with that. At least Spo thinks that KZ is more ready than Yurt. I think that's fair to say just based on the way the rotation has been going. Israel Price, thank you so much for watching. Sophie Warren, thank you so much for watching today. Nadir, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm not sure who put him on blast. Who put Nadir on blast? Was it Ethan? Was it me? Was it Manny Chang? I do not know. Big Dan 305, who says Hurricanes baseball is packed on a weekend series. They do get good crowds. I can verify that. I've been to many Canes baseball games over the years. They get good crowds, but you're talking about, crowds at a small venue, and the TV ratings are not very good, or the radio ratings are not very good. So they have hardcores. Like UM baseball has hardcore fans. They will show up at the light. It's just, and this. Like I'm not breaking any news to Big Dan. He's a huge Canes fan. He knows this. Football is king. Football is where the university makes their money. They're not making money on baseball or basketball the way that they're making money on football, but I know Big Dan knows that. I'm not breaking any news to him. I just want to make sure everybody hears that. Jay Smith, he's sick of hearing that Kyle Lowry will turn it on in the playoffs. I mean, just have him pretend for a couple of games that it's already the playoffs. Like, just, screw with his calendar. Like, tell him, oh, it's May, bro. Just, at least while Jimmy is out. Like, Bam's going to be out for a while. Jimmy, probably 2-3 more games. Just make him think the next couple of games are playoff games, whatever we have to do. Steve, thank you so much. I would tend to agree with him. Spend money, talking about spend money on the coaches. The facilities do not win championships. I mean, you probably need both these days. But, I think the coaching is the better place to start. Alfredo Arteaga, Duncan Robinson, interdimensional global elite, planted to destroy our season and possibly humanity. Let's see who else we got here. Xavier, Big Daniels, thank you so much. I agree with that, by the way. Brooklyn Rob, Manny the Mutt, too many shoes in the closet. Manny already had to head out, but I'm sure he will find that entertaining. Vincent, thank you so much for watching today. Let's see who else. Got a good number of people in the chat today. The Finns Tailgate, TFTG, thank you so much for tuning in. Max, thank you so much for watching. Manuel, thank you. Ray Grullon, one of my favorites. I love this dude. Howdy Donno. It always makes me smile when he tweets out the cowboy emoji, and it will not. Devin, I thought it wouldn't let me scroll up higher, but then there it was. The scroll was unlocked. Devin Jordan, thank you so much. Ricky, thank you so much for tuning in. That might be it. EST92FTL, thank you so much for tuning in. Holland, thank you so much. Baby Rage Miami, Poetic Lifestyle, eBay Addicts, thank you so much for watching. PB Matthew, thank you so much. Michael Stefano, thank you for tuning in. And, oh man, there's a lot more today. You guys brought it really strong today. Strontium Milks, thank you so much for watching. And I think that might be it. If I missed anybody, it's very possible. I apologize, but thank you so much for tuning in. We will talk to you guys again tomorrow. We will wrap up the week strong tomorrow. We're going to have, I think, 2 different Dolphins-related guests. Maybe I'll bring them on together because I know they're friends. Hussam Patel and Stephen Daniels, Stephen D. We might just do a Dolphins roundtable tomorrow, and I'll bring both of them on, maybe somebody else on as well. And we're also going to have our guy Lee Sterling from ParamountSports.com to give us some winners, give us some big picks for the weekend. So I will talk to everybody again tomorrow, 3 p.m., same time, same place, right here on another episode of Donno Daily on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Ciao.